Hello everyone, Garagos here. Welcome back to the pit. There is a lot of content that needs to be recorded and released in these upcoming days and weeks. The Russians are at the door. In a couple of days I should be able to have my grubby hands on the new armies of the Soviet Union book, and of course, as per tradition, I will be reading it. We will be taking an in-depth look at it together in another video. I have to complete my first tournament list analysis for an Italian tournament. We're just going to take a look at a tournament that took place a couple of weeks ago. I just again have been able to get my paws on the army lists and some pictures that have been sent to me by the TO. But that is gonna have its own video, plus news about the seasonal bolt action. But let's start with the new and updated Erratas and FAQ. They have been released as per usual in the Warlord Games community section of their website, and let's just take a look at them. We'll have a look at the main rulebook, erratas and FAQs, and just at the news. Plus, we have some news about armies of Germany, armies of the United States, and the first FAQs and erratas for the armies of Great Britain. So, without further ado, as per the main rulebook, we have some, well, these are just mainly some clearer explanations. So for reserves, change the last paragraph of the left column as follows. Note that the morale bonus rule of officers does not work while officers are off the table, except on the transport they are mounted on and on any units also mounted in the same transport, including of course the officer's unit itself. On the other hand, their UMAN snap to action rule does not work at all. Again, this is nothing particularly new. I guess it's just clarifying if ever there was the need, but it's okay, it's fine. Then you have company commander, add the following paragraph. In addition, if the force includes a platoon where all compulsory units, i.e. 2 infantry units and a platoon commander, are mounted on horses, bicycles, or motorcycles, the company commander and his unit can also be mounted on the same ride as those units. Bicycle for +1 point per man, motorcycles for +5 points per man, and horses for +3 points per man. This is basically taking the same direction that was already set in second edition. And so there is really nothing new. It already worked for platoon commanders, so nothing new. About FAQs, we have just a little something. And again, this goes in the same direction as per the company commander rule we just read. Can my officers be mounted on a horse if my force includes cavalry units, and similarly for motorcycles or bicycles? Again, the answer is a platoon commander or medic or forward observer, i.e. HQs that are 1 per platoon, can ride an X if both the mandatory squads in their platoon are riding X, where X is horses, bicycles, or motorbikes. So it's exactly the same reasoning. Same goes with company commander, chaplain, similar HQs who are not 1 per platoon but rather 1 per force can ride X if the force includes at least 1 platoon where both the platoon commander and the 2 mandatory squads are riding X. Again, I think this is pretty niche unless they prepare on bringing back the cavalry, or maybe the new meta is bicycles and motorbikes. I don't know. I'm not sure about that. Anyway, most of the rest is still the same. We have some news about actual battles. What do I mean? If both sides have units that need to decide to retain their down or ambush order at the end of the turn, or instead return the dice or attempt to open fire from ambush, in which order are these decisions taken? If these decisions are important, the players roll off and the winner takes this decision for one of their units. Then the opponent does the same and the players continue to alternate working through their remaining units that need to make this decision until the order no longer matters. Okay, pretty niche clarification, but I guess. This is more, let's say, more interesting. If my motorcycles or bicycles or cavalry have the Fieldcraft special rule, do they really ignore rough ground? Yes, they do, treating it as open ground. So, and this is, again, if you have been following this channel a little bit, you will know how much I hate the Fieldcraft special rule. And reading about motorcycles, bicycles, or cavalries that ignore rough ground makes me puke. And that's all I'm gonna say. If a vehicle somehow receives the Fanatic special rule, does this make any difference to them? No, it does not, as vehicles are units made of a single model, so the Fanatic's rule has no effect on them. Now, what's interesting to me in this FAQ is that how the heck did someone even bring up the point? I mean, the fact that it's an official FAQ, it means that someone raised the point, and that makes me it makes me wonder about people. Let's say that. So these are all the news. Nothing game breaking. So this about the unit retaining dice. I guess usually most people would resolve it with a 4+, I do, 3- you do, or they were rolling off anyway. The silliest, in my opinion, is this. It's official that you can have some motocross bikes treating rough ground as open ground. But it is what it is. So, moving on to the Armies of series. We begin with the Armies of Germany special rule. They already had their beefy, if you remember, the beefy day one errata, because Armies of Germany is one of the worst published books I have ever seen, so full of holes. Anyway, we have an improvement, a buff to the Brandenburger Special Forces Squad. They have the options to replace rifles with submachine gun for +3 points each. So, this I don't care. I don't think I've ever used Brandenburger. I probably would just in theme games. And by the same reasoning why I don't like the fact that the British commandos get their submachine guns for cheaper, by the same reasoning I dislike the fact that other units do the same. And then we have a very important change to the Panzer 17R 730F, which I'm pretty sure everybody instantly recognized. This is a change that was asked by the people. It's changed for the people. And we add a new special rule. Slow. Pitifully slow. The FD 1718 as the slow special rule. In addition, we do not allow it to make a double speed run move at all. It can still be given a run order, thereby avoiding the one-man turret rule, but moves at its basic speed only. This is drama for for the single Panzer 17R730F enjoyer, or probably two. This is tragic. Pitifully slow. This changes the meta completely. Or maybe it really does, and I just don't know the meta. But anyway, these are just the updates on the Germans. Moving on to the United States, we have a clarification. This is important clarification, in my opinion, about fire and maneuver. Change the second paragraph as follows. Fire maneuver, the US special ability to fire more rifle shots. To reflect this combination of doctrine, armament, and plentiful ammunition, for every 3 men who fire a rifle/carbine when a unit shoots, you may add 1 additional dice to the total of shots fired. These shots are assumed to come from any of the men armed as such. This is important because I've heard many people claiming that you would get the extra shots regardless of the actual number of men firing. For example, you would have a unit behind a building. Just to give an example, you have 12 men. 11 are behind the building. 1 bravely has line of sight on the enemy, and people claim that the single guy would get the 4 extra shots because the unit is of 12 men, despite the fact that only 1 guy was firing. So I like this. This is a welcome clarification. Good job. It's logical, and I'm glad this is on paper. Good job. Then we have another change, this time to the Pathfinder Squad special rules. Change the second bullet point. Analysis signals. If at least 1 unit of Pathfinders is not in reserve, i.e. is deployed or in first wave. And again, this is important, it's just in first wave, which doesn't make much sense to me, but anyway. Then any friendly airborne unit in reserve may reroll failed order tests to come into the battle from reserve. Now, I'll finish reading. This includes US paratrooper squads, Pathfinder squads, glider squads, and glider machine gun squads. Any units upgraded to airborne and airborne armored jeeps. Okay, so technically, if the unit is in first wave, it has to enter in turn 1, so it shouldn't matter to reserve, since reserves only start entering from turn 2. But, well, the fact that the reroll applies also to the other Pathfinders, gliders, glider machine guns, and jeeps, besides comboing with the no minus to the reserve roll, basically guarantees that your reserves enter when you want, which is pretty powerful. Then we have a change to the sniper team. The weapons is that the guy and the sniper and the observer, they are armed with rifles and pistols. So, okay, now pistols shouldn't matter now they lost assault, but anyway, this is more important. Any model may replace their pistol with a submachine gun. Oh, this is why. Never mind, this is why. So you get rifles and pistols, and you can upgrade, any model may replace their pistol with a submachine gun. So you can have both a rifle and an SMG. Possibly. When people, get too close to you. You can still have some nice for SMG shots, albeit for 10 points. So they are more costly than your usual submachine gun. Then the twin 20mm AA gun MK4 Oerlikon has a pretty massive points drop. We have 46, 65, 85, and the original was 56, 80, and 104. So you wouldn't be too surprised to see more of these fellows, because it's a twin light autocannon, and we know how 3rd edition loves autocannons. Despite the fact that by fluff they were mostly used in the Pacific theater. And then we have this, an FAQ. And this does not make sense to me, and I actually hate it with a passion. If a unit of Rangers is in first wave, do they get to use their special rule? Yes, they do. Deploy infiltrators first, then execute the Rangers lead the way rule. Roll a die if both players have Rangers to decide who makes all of these extra movements first. So, now, how I always played this, and I would always continue to do, unless they actually wrote this down, is that, I mean, already a pre-game move is super powerful. In certain scenarios is absolutely bonkers and ridiculous. So you're telling me that even if you are playing a first wave type of scenarios where nothing begins on the board except for infiltrators, Rangers just get inside and they get the extra 12. Insanity. I don't like this one bit. Again, you know, I have a strong bias against how veterans are being portrayed in 3rd edition, but I mean, this is law, but it's ridiculous. And last but not least, we have the erratas and FAQs for the armies of Great Britain. So, let's begin with the erratas. All instances of the stationary firing platform should read that the vehicle may not fire if given advance order. This is just how things work for everybody. Then we have a clarification on the Come On Lads, which is one of the Army Special Rules. The morale bonus of British platoon commanders and company commanders is increased by 1, but any cover save they and the men in their unit receive is reduced by 1. This is just a clarification. I'm guessing that there was people that pretended that only if the company commander or the platoon commander was alone he got the minus, and not when he had a unit. But again, this is a good wording clarification. Then we have airborne section special troops. This is again for British Pathfinders. It follows the same reasoning as it signals if Pathfinder's option is taken, if at least one unit of Pathfinders is not in reserve, i.e. is deployed or in first wave, then any friendly airborne unit in reserve may reroll failed order tests to come into the battle from reserve. This includes airborne sections, air landing rifle squads, any unit upgraded to airborne, Tetrarch and Locust tanks, and airborne Recce jeeps. It's the same reasoning, which I don't particularly like, but it is what it is. What I like is not important, of course. We have a new option for the commando subsection, as if they needed more options. Any model may replace their rifle with a submachine gun, because why not? Sniper team, special rules, add the following: infiltrator. I'll be honest, I didn't notice that British snipers did not have infiltrator. I have to be honest. Anyway, it's just, again, it was just something they forgot. Then we have something for the light artillery options. If taken as airborne, it must lose both the gun shield and 25-pounder 80 shell special rules for minus 20 points. Basically, they get just a simple US analog 25mm spec howitzer. Nothing weird. Then we have a change for the Crusader 3 AA, MK1 and MK2. You may replace the heavy automatic cannon with 2 turret-mounted light automatic cannon, losing the open top special rule for plus 30 point, making it a Crusader AA Mark II. Again, this is one of the tons of vehicles we have. Turret, 2 turret-mounted light autocannons seems more interesting than a single heavy autocannon, but then we have something for the Daimler armored car. You can add a Little John adapter to the light anti-tank gun for plus 10 points. Remember, the Little John adapter is the thing that may make your weapon explode on a roll of 1. Ridiculous. Then we have an upgrade for the trucks. They can upgrade their LMG to an MMG for plus 5 points. And finally, we tackle the FAQs. In a unit with a mix of models with SMGs and rifles, can all of the additional attacks in close quarters from fixed bayonets come from the models, or even the one single model, equipped with SMGs in order to benefit from the Tough Fighters rule? Yes. Any number of additional attacks can come from a single model in order to get those rerolls from Tough Fighters. The Sarge is well hard. Okay, this, I don't think it warranted a clarification, but it is what makes the fixed bayonet rule pretty powerful. You basically always want one man with an SMG, because it can net you some, let's say, 1 to 3 extra Tough Fighter attacks, which can definitely sway a combat. Pretty powerful. Does fixed bayonets work when assaulting vehicles? Yes, it does not just literally represent bayonets. It's more of an aggressive close quarters attitude. Again, clarification. I think the intent was clear from the beginning, but it's fine. Then we have another clarification that it is warranted. It is what we expected. It is what we said when we examined the entry. If a commando subsection as a lieutenant, does the +1 morale bonus benefit from the extra +1 from the command lads rule, and does his presence reduce the cover save of the unit? Yes and yes. So yes, you have this commando blob with a +2 morale extra. Oh, okay. Yes and yes. Yes, you have basically, if you get a lieutenant, you get a +2 to morale added to your veterans. Nice. The army special rules state that SMGs for commandos cost +3 points per man. Some units instead state that it's +5 points per man, which is right. Both. SMGs cost +3 points per man when a man replaces his rifle with an SMG, but it costs +5 when given to a man that does not have any weapon, like the crewmen of team weapons, like the anti-tank rifles, mortar, etc. So the costs shown in all entries are correct, which is pretty much the same way the US sniper got to change their pistol for an SMG. This is coherence. This is just coherence. If I take 2 or 3 early war motorcycle and sidecars as the platoon command vehicle option for an armor platoon, can I give the command vehicle upgrade to all of them or just one? Only to 1 motorcycle per platoon, even if that slot includes 2 or 3 of them. Okay. You can't have 3 upgrades with the command vehicle. Now, the one question I have that I am not sure about the answer, and I think it's more reliable, more interesting, if I field, let's say, 2 vehicles which have a native common vehicle option. Now, so far the rules say you can take multiple vehicles with a command vehicle upgrade. Do they both work at the same time? I guess so. Anyway, in the SAS Jeep North Africa, the deflate those tires special rule mentions difficult ground. Is that same as rough ground? Yes, it is. Just a wording clarification. In the Armadillo anti-aircraft vehicle, should the stationary weapon platform special rule only apply to the automatic cannon? No, the rule applies to the LMG as well, to represent the improvised nature of the vehicle. Fun fact, I do own 1 Armadillo, and I use it a grand total of 0 times ever. And finally, is the minimum range of the petard mortar on a Churchill AVU RE also halved? Yes, its range is effectively 36 for direct fire or 2142 for indirect fire. Again, you know how much I love the Churchill AVU RE. This is basically, let's say, a clarification buff. Again, unseen vehicle, do not use it often. It can ruin games, as most things with too much HE, in my opinion. Okay, these are all the news for October. Of course, again, in a couple of days, we are going to have the release of armies of the Soviet Union, and their own FAQs will follow in the future. And of course, we'll take a look at that. Alright, so this is it for today's video. Thank you for being around till now. And I'll see you soon in the next video. Until next time, as usual, be safe. And ciao ciao.